Alright, hello everyone, it's Silver Kyle, and it is time for a long overdue Blu-ray collection update. I've got an okay pile here, some mediocre to very good titles, mixed all in between. I haven't been collecting that many Blu-rays lately, but I want to, coming in the near future, hopefully the next update I'm assuming will have a lot more. And I generally like to watch everything that I talk about here, but there's two titles here that I just recently picked up that I'm just going to throw in here. So let's get those over and done with. And that is Terminator Salvation. Is this one? Yeah, this one's loose. Darn it, I'm going to have to open that up right away. I picked this up a few weeks ago, 2 for $12, because this is the only Terminator movie that I have not seen. So I'm rewatching the entire quadrilogy. I really wanted to check this out before I go see the next one. And as part of that 2 for $12, I got Ocean's 12, which is, I have Ocean's 11 and 13 because those are the better films. But it's still an okay movie. It's just not nearly as good as the first one. The first one's amazing. The third one stands up as well. I just felt like I needed to complete the trilogy because I still will watch it once in a while, just not as much as the other two. Next up is a movie I'm probably going to get rid of. I was hoping that I would like this, but it just didn't happen. And that is Shame, which stars Michael Fassbender, who I love, although it does have Carey Mulligan, and I cannot stand her. I really don't like that actress. I still have not seen a movie where I'm okay with her. Just okay. Not even like, oh, she did a good job there. No, it was just like, she hasn't even been mediocre, in my opinion. Maybe she's been mediocre, but I just really don't like her. There's just something about her that I just don't like in her acting, and it's just I hate that happens because I would much prefer to be okay with everybody, but it's just that some people rub you the wrong way, and she unfortunately is part of that list. So anyway, but it's not, she's basically what this is and it's a Steve McQueen film, who is, I think he's the director for 12 Years a Slave. I think he is. I'm not sure. But I know he's directed something else really big. And I enjoy, if it is, in fact, 12 Years a Slave, I did enjoy that one. Not crazy amounts, but I thought it did a pretty good job. Anyway, Shame is about Michael Fassbender living a life, this perfect, meticulous life, where he just basically gets to sleep around, and he's not in any relationships that tie him down. And I enjoyed parts of this. I like how OCD he was and how much of a perfectionist everything was in order. Like, his life was just completely going in this way that he could control. And then her character shows up, who is his sister, and she's kind of messed up, and she ends up living with him for a while because she has no other place to go. And she really this movie was not good for her because for me, because she really bugs him a lot. And I'm like, I understand where she's coming from, but at the same time, she just seemed like a whiny bitch, and that seems really rude, but it's just, ugh. Anyway, I just really didn't like her character, and I didn't like, the film was done well, I will say that, but I found that at one point they just show way too much sex, and I'm like, okay, I don't need to see this. I understand that he's addicted to it, but I don't need to see that as much. You can get away with doing that and not bore your audience with quite a bit of time spent on it. Same thing with Wolf of Wall Street. Wolf of Wall Street is better than this, in my opinion. But Wolf of Wall Street, there was way too much sex and drugs. I understand that it's an addiction once again, but they don't need to show it as often because it gets boring after a while. Anyway, really, I think I gave this a 5, mostly because of Michael Fassbender doing a good job acting, but I just did not need to see a lot of the stuff that went on. I didn't really care so much at the end. I was just like, oh, okay, that's all right. So anyway, I guess a lot of time on Shame, but it was just, I think I'm going to get rid of it because I don't see myself ever wanting to watch that again, unfortunately. Next up is, okay, yeah, there's going to be a few mediocre titles, but Night and Day. Not the greatest movie, but Tom Cruise in these kind of roles works. The real big negative about this is that I felt that in this movie, it's one of the few times where I felt that there's so many zoom-ins because they didn't want to have actors in the background. It seemed like they were in places that you would see a lot more background, and in the background you would see more people. If you ever get the chance, I mean, it's not a great movie. I'd give it a 6 out of 10. It's better than Shame. I would never watch this again. I don't think. This movie I could see myself watching again. Kurt Cruz is funny in it. Cameron Diaz is okay in it. Their chemistry together worked well from what I remember. The jokes are okay once in a while. But it's the thing that bothered me the most was just you really felt that they were alone in this movie. Like, they didn't have a lot of other actors or actresses, background actors and actresses. Like, they had a few other characters, but they didn't have anybody in the background just walking by, making it seem as if this place isn't empty, which is really weird. If you ever get to watch that, this movie, I don't necessarily recommend it, but if you do watch it, look in the background. It's really interesting to see that they really just focus a lot on Cruz and Diaz, and I've never really seen that in other movies. Anyway, next up is Walking Tall with The Rock. I remember enjoying this more the first time I had seen it. Granted, I was like, 18 when it came out, so that's probably why I accepted it more back then. It's still okay, and I think I get like, I'll just plop in a Rock action movie. He's gotten a lot better since, and his roles are a lot better too. But it's an okay film. It's kind of like one of those just action movies you can see on Netflix and just be like, I'll watch this because I haven't seen it in a while, but I have it on Blu-ray. Okay, now I think we're getting into pretty much everything else after this is better. Limitless, another movie though that I enjoyed more the first time around. This is my second time viewing it. I wanted it in my collection because I really like Robert De Niro and I really like Bradley Cooper, and this is one of the few titles that this is kind of, for me, what really sold me on Bradley Cooper. And then just afterwards, like his titles afterwards, after this, were just, getting better and better and better. Ever since like Silver Linings Playbook, ever since he went together with that director / writer, he's been doing great films. But this one's a pretty good one. Limitless, I haven't been talking about what these movies are other than Shame. Limitless is Bradley Cooper gets this drug that's not FDA approved yet, but basically makes him smarter, and it makes him use his full potential of his brain, and he just has so much more motivation, and he's able to go through tons of stuff. So he starts like making money and stuff like that, and then other people start noticing, and Robert De Niro is one of those characters that starts noticing that this guy is just all of a sudden coming out on top of everything. He was nobody before, and I really like that idea. And I loved seeing the first day when he's on the drug and how much shit he gets done, because he's basically a slob beforehand, and I like movies where you see like an improvement like that. I for some reason I love seeing day-to-day stuff. I want to see characters eating. I want to see them cleaning. It's really weird. I don't know why. I find it entertaining. Maybe it's because I've watched Seinfeld so often, and that's one of my favorite TV shows, and in that show, they don't really do a lot. They do a lot, but they don't do a lot at the same time, and it's just very basic, and I don't know. It's just, I enjoy that about movies and TV shows. I'm weird. Alright, next up. Okay, now we're into some really good stuff here. In Bruges. I love this movie. Very different comedy. The main characters are Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, who are hitmen, and they just did a hit, and they have to go into hiding for things to settle down, and decide to go. They're told by Ray. Is it Ray Fiennes? I've heard a lot of people say that instead of Ralph, even though it clearly says Ralph. Is it Ray Fiennes? I don't know. Whatever his name is, Voldemort tells them to go into Bruges to hide out until then. And Brendan really enjoys it because it's very historical. There's not a lot of people in there, but it's very history-based. More so than something that Colin Farrell, who just wants to go to the pub and drink and go to, like, he's very young. He doesn't want to enjoy this kind of stuff. And one of the few lines that one of the great lines in this film is when he's like in Bruges and he's talking to Brendan, also another Harry Potter character. Interesting. There's also Fleur, who the girl, I can't remember what her name is. Anyway, she's in this movie as well. So there's a lot of Harry Potter characters in this movie. Anyway, One of the things that he says, like, are you not like having fun time in Bruges? And Colin Farrell says, you know, maybe if I, and he speaks in his normal accent, and I can't do it correctly, but he says, you know, maybe if I was retarded and on a farm, but if I grew up on a farm and I was retarded, I would like it, but I wasn't, so I don't. It's just something like that, and it's just hilarious. It's really dark humor, but man, it is an awesome, awesome movie for my taste. Not for everybody, but check out a trailer. If you laugh and you kind of like the direction that they're going, check that movie out. Next up is Draft Day with Kevin Costner. I had seen this before and I was like, I need to have this on Blu-ray. This isn't even like the greatest movie of all time. Far from it, but there's something about sports movies and something about Kevin Costner that I can watch the guy and I'm just entertained. In this movie, it's coming up to draft day. They're like 20 hours away from draft day, and he's the manager, so he starts doing all these wheeling and dealings to see what they can do and come up with this draft day. And I like movies like that, when they have people that are in big positions of power and, you know, they're giving deals that, you know, are crazy, but they end up turning small things into big things, and just depending on how they do it, I love those kinds of movies. And this is exactly what, I don't even watch the NFL, but this movie makes me want to watch the NFL because of that. And like, I would really want to get into the culture of everybody gets crazy excited for the draft day to see who goes where. And it also depends on who picks up who at the time. Everybody thinks this guy's the number one, but if nobody picks him, they slowly go down, and everybody wants to be the first draft pick because they get the more money, they get, you know, so they get the bigger salary. They're known as like, this is a person to be reckoned with. It basically breaks or creates their careers. It's really crazy. Like that. And you know, sometimes they could be a bust. You could get the first guy and he's crap, but you can have the 20th guy and they end up actually being the best out of all the people that were drafted. It's crazy. I just really enjoyed that. Once again, not the greatest movie, but I enjoyed it. Okay, these last two I would probably recommend the most, and I could recommend it to basically anyone. First one being Gone Girl. Love this film. I really like the director, and I don't want to mispronounce it, David Fincher. He's excellent, excellent, excellent. Zodiac is one of my favorite movies of all time, and that one I would recommend over anything else, but Gone Girl was damn good. Ben Affleck did a really good job. Rosamund Pike was okay sometimes. I enjoyed this movie more the second time. I watched it in theaters, and I watched it again recently with my mother and girlfriend. My mother's like, oh man, that was a good, that's like a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. She loves the movies like Gone Girl are her type of movies, where it's like a whodunit. But basically, it looks like Ben Affleck might have murdered his wife, Rosamund Pike. And as the story unravels, it's not your typical twist movie. My goodness, this movie had me guessing, and then you find out things and you're like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. If you can see this coming, you should be a detective. No, I'm just kidding. You've seen more movies like this, or you have a very good intellectual mind that can, you know, oh, I bet it's going to go this way. I didn't think of it because it's so rare that you see these kinds of films going in these directions. They keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Neil Patrick Harris, who I didn't enjoy the first time that I had seen this movie, the second time, I liked his character. I liked that he was selected for this. I thought that he didn't work well the first time around, but second time viewing, I enjoyed it more. It's really interesting because I'm talking about a lot of movies here where I change my mind the second time I see it, or like years afterwards. It's interesting how your mind remembers things, and how much, not even that, because like my review is out for Gone Girl, and I didn't like, it's not that I remembered correctly that I didn't like Neil Patrick Harris when I first saw this, but because the review's out there, you can see it. At the time, I really did not like his character. Now, seeing it a second time, I enjoy it. So it's really cool that I go back and forth in movies. You know, you've seen them once, but you can see them again and appreciate them more sometimes. And unfortunately, sometimes not like them as much. But that means you just have better taste, hopefully. And this really, really cool It's not your average typical Blu-ray. It comes in this thing, so it's just like a sleeve basically that has the movie in it. Is this the books? Hey, yeah, there you go. Also, just because I've messed up so many times, for anybody that's stuck around for more than 15 minutes, you know what? You deserve, for the first one, if you want, I'm going to give the digital code, because I've been promising a digital code for something for so long on my Facebook page. Please, if you want, okay, let's put up this first. This is the digital code for Gone Girl. Let's make sure that you can actually see it. Focus. There you go. You can pause it right there, and you have it. So there you go. Hope you enjoy it. It's an awesome movie. That's the least that I can do. So yeah, that's the case there. But anyway, I am okay. Well, let's show the other film, and I'll talk about that there. Okay, so and it also comes with Rosamund Pike's character is based off her parents created a book of series called Amazing Amy, and it kind of that's kind of the reason why she's kind of weird in the movie. Because she's always lived up to this, like, Amazing Amy was always better than the real Amy. But it comes with an actual, like, little book about her. It's like, it's for kids. That's really cool. I think that's really neat to throw that in there. So anyway, let's just put that all to the side there. So, last but not least is Interstellar. Now, I did promise a long time ago that I was going to give the codes away for this, because I bought this movie twice. I bought it on regular Blu-ray, like in a regular case like this, because Future Shop here in Canada had closed, but ended up that Best Buy took over and they still had Interstellar steelbooks from Future Shop. So this is, I think, the last Future Shop exclusive steelbook, which is really awesome. I like this. I don't like it. I've seen the actual Best Buy steelbook that I think, or Target, but from the States, it's amazing. I wish I could have had that, but I don't think it's here in Canada, so I would have had to import it. But anyway, I think that it's cool that I have the last steelbook from Future Shop. The background is kind of boring, but that's a really cool front. And I've talked about the giving away the codes for this, because I'm not going to keep them. I rarely ever use them, because I always watch my movies on Blu-ray. That's the reason why I have them, so I don't really use the digital codes. And I gave the actual other Blu-ray to my brother, because he really liked the film, so I passed it to him, but I kept the digital codes. So I have 2 digital codes for Interstellar. If you're interested in this, like my Facebook page, and I will give it away, finally, in about a week's time, give or take. So I'll just post, okay, anybody that wants this, let me know. And whoever basically says, and there's not a lot of people that like my page, so you really have a good chance of winning, because considering that I also have 2 codes. So Interstellar, Christopher Nolan. I've seen this movie like 4 times now. It's fantastic. I love it. The more I thought about it, the more I liked it. It's just, I really, at the beginning I didn't know how to feel about it, but I just kept thinking about it, and considering that a movie makes you think, that's a positive. And I can only find one flaw with it, and I can only talk about it if I go into spoilers, so I won't do that. But there's only one flaw in this movie. Everything else makes sense that I know of, anyway. And I can explain a lot about this movie. I love Interstellar. Still my favorite movie from 2014. So there you have it. Blu-ray collection update for the last few months. And I will be doing another movie night coming soon. It's just, I've been busy. I've been busy with just other things going on in life at the time. And I haven't watched that many movies in theaters. I've seen like, what, 3 or 4 now? I saw Pitch Perfect 2 as well, but it was way too late for me to talk about that. It's about a 6. It's not as good as the first one, but it's still worth the watch, I guess. So anyway, thank you all for watching. You've been bearded in. Did I talk about my Facebook page? I'll put it in the link in the description box below. Like that, and you get a chance to win some Interstellar codes. There we go. Now you've been bearded in. Beardage.